Earth is on fire. Climate change has become more apparent in recent years. But what is climate change for the people in the back of the class eating popcorn and wearing a pair of sunglasses that are crooked no matter how they set them on their noses? Climate change is the change in global climate patterns from around the mid of the 20th century. For example, I live in northern Canada. For the past 6 years, it has snowed 4 days before my birthday in October. It finally snowed around the mid of November this year. And it's still only negative 15 and under outside Celsius. Climate change is mostly pointed to increased levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, letting more sunlight in, but not letting it leave and having it reflect off the layer of dioxide, causing more buildup and progressively making the temperature increase, which is bad, and I'm going to tell you why it's bad. So, welcome to Buff Social Studies. Let's talk climate change. If we were going to solve climate change, instead of making promises that go nowhere, let's start reducing the use of fossil fuels. But how can we start that change? Vehicles are the main contributors to greenhouse gases, making up 15% of emissions from a report back in 2012. So, pulling a King Louis XIV and taxing the use of your car heavily might be a great use to force the public transportation and other active methods like walking and biking.
But wait! There's more!
The burning of fossil fuels for heating electricity is by far the biggest contribution to the problem. Obviously, taking down how much we rely on fossil fuels for electricity would do numbers on healing the degrading ice caps. We could replace fossil fuels with solar energy. Solar energy is a renewable resource, meaning we won't ever run out of it. That is because we are harnessing the sun itself. But it doesn't come without drawbacks. Solar energy is very expensive, but the cost will reduce as technology further is advanced and simplified. It also takes up a lot of space.
Like your
But fortunately for Canada, we have so much space that where I live to the province capital is a 5-hour non-stop drive. I think we can spare a couple panels. But that isn't our only saving grace. Hydroelectric power plants work as well, also being renewable and emission-free entirely. They're extremely reliable and get the job done, but unfortunately still have problems. Hydroelectric power plants cost more in initial expense, costing slightly more than a fossil fuel plant around the same size. But bringing up the sunk cost, the plant would immediately be easier on the wallets due to not needing to buy more fuel. Creating a hydro plant means that the running water source must be dammed, cutting off fish from reaching the breeding grounds and affecting all animals higher up in the food chain that relies on those fish. Lastly, what about shortening individual emissions? Like already talked about vehicles, bringing down the emissions of the person would help. There are many ways to reduce your emissions at home, like switching your light bulbs to LEDs. They can even go different colors. Ooh. Lowering your heating and cooling helps. Yes, I can all hear you go, but it's so cold. I can't feel how cold it is anymore, so you better grab 4 heavy blankets and deal with it. Maybe cuddle with someone. My DMs are open if you need somebody. Washing laundry with cold water brings down the water bill due to not needing the water to be heated. Plus, most of your clothes, if you read the tags, should be washed on cold anyway. Hanging your laundry instead of tumble drying is also a great way to reduce your personal emissions. But be careful of what you hang in front of your window. I'm not going to make that mistake again, and neither should you. Walking, biking, and using public transport like buses brings down the cars on the road and gives you a great story to tell to your grandkids about that one time she said her parents weren't home. Eating vegetables for how gross they are is a beneficial way to reduce emissions from making meat, as land, water, and upkeep of cows for your steaks that you'll mess up anyway is a great and big contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. While doing copious amounts of research like the good little social studies stud I am, I came across some organizations that want to help reduce the effects of climate change. And here are some. This is not voluntary, I'm going to tell you anyway. 350.org is an organization dedicated to building a new low-carbon economy and pressuring governments to conform to the new age of renewable resources, like the badasses they are. The Asia-Pacific Adoption Network is an organization founded under the Global Climate Change Adaptation Network that provides facilitation for adaptation technologies and generation of knowledge and information for climate change. C40 Cities is a group of 97 cities around the world founded in 2005 to take urgent action against climate change, consisting of a network of mayors that are around the world, like I said. So, with that, we end our talk about climate change. I hope you learned something about my rant about how the Earth is on fire. You're very cool, but even cooler if you subscribe to Buff Social Skills. Bye-bye.
Elevated days came, say my name, say my name. And you remember the time when we dealt with the lines and flew out to the States. And you reached into my mind, took it off all the time that I wanted to wear.